My name is Hlobisile Yende, and I'm an award-winning livestock, grain and crop farmer. I'm also the director of the Yende and Partners Enterprise. Our farm is situated in Heidelberg. It is 1,064 hectares. I'm also an agricultural literacy author of a children's book. What inspired me to actually get into the farming industry was because I'm from a family of farmers, so farming has been in our bloodline. My grandfather as well as my father, and now me, so it only made sense, and it's something that I enjoyed and what I knew, and I found my purpose. So that's how I went into it, and also I looked at how the business was running. My father had come with the knowledge, the practical side of things, and I wanted to come the theoretical and modern ways to better the farm. Some of the challenges that I had gone through, especially as a young female farmer, was especially also in the livestock industry, is you need to over-explain yourself. You need to always prove. You need to work harder than the male counterpart, because it's always been seen, farming has always been seen as a male-dominated and male industry. So imagine, and I mean, my height doesn't even make it any better. So you always have to work harder, and you're only taken seriously once they know and see that you know what you're talking about, and the number of livestock you have, and the experience that you have. So that's when you're actually taken seriously. And also, like, we have the challenges of getting funding and land, because some of these places want tangible assets and collateral, so it becomes challenging. So that's one of the challenges, but those are things that are there. And I mean, I'd like to think in other industries that are like farming, that are male dominated, that some would also go through the same challenges, and also having to fund it from your own pocket is one of the challenges. As I mean, starting off as a young farmer, that's another problem, that farming is expensive. So but yeah, the least you can do is start with what you have. How I overcome some of these challenges is, one, by continuing to better my craft and upskilling myself and doing the research, so that if someone comes and asks me about the commodities that we have on our farm, I can easily tell them from the back of my head. And that shows that you are present and you know what's going on, and you're not just being a front or just using it for social media. So that's one of them. And two, it's also like, when you do your research, you also avoid making expensive mistakes, because already if it's funded from your pocket, the last thing you want is to make the wrong choice and the wrong mistake, because you did not do the research on the seasons and the breeding seasons and what the market wants. So that has helped me a lot. And also, I have worked so hard to build this brand, so it has now become a brand that is actually respected, and I work with brands that I dreamt of working with when I was still very young, and what my dad, the brands that he also looked up to. So now they're the ones that are approaching us. So with those challenges, I looked at it as to not throwing a pity party. I mean, another challenge that I forgot to mention was we us as farmers deal with theft. I mean, our borehole pump and motor was stolen because we are right opposite of a township. But it did not stop our operation. Instead, we kept going, and we now looked at how we can better the security and how we can curb this. So that's what we did, is basically go back to the drawing board and look at how we can look at a possible solution instead of crying over spilt milk. Yes, definitely there's a huge improvement, and now I love how females are now taking space in the agricultural space. It's just heartwarming, and there is some progress. So we are getting there, although obviously it's a small shift, but it's better than nothing. And the space is actually now becoming accommodating of females, and they are starting to recognize us. And I mean, my father even mentioned that at the South African Agricultural Awards, the majority of the winners were actually female farmers. So that is huge. And also seeing young black farmers is also another thing that actually motivates us and other aspiring farmers, that actually, as females and as black farmers, there is space and there is some hope in the industry. I did not have any formal training or education. I actually did I'm actually doing my master's degree in psychology and criminology, so it's totally out of my scope. But I studied that because, parents always want that security of a degree. So, and the only thing that intrigued my personality was studying the human mind, specifically criminal mind. But I did gain the practical skills and informal skills and knowledge from my grandfather and my father. But I was fortunate enough that Koteva, as well as Gibbs, has offered an all-expense paid program for commercial farmers. So I'm one of 30 farmers that they've selected in South Africa to go through this course. And this it teaches us how to do bankable business plans. We all know how expensive those are. It gives you a mentor, all paid for, the whole program. It started in March and it ends in December, if I'm not mistaken. I stand to be corrected. But I was fortunate enough to have those courses, and I do attend some livestock courses, and I am due to also attend a beekeeping course because that's another commodity that I plan to add. So I basically went out of my way, besides my degree and the knowledge that I received from my father, through these short courses and opportunities that came landing on my plate. Farming teaches you a lot of patience. I was very impatient and I'm very impulsive. If I want to do something now, if I decide I want to plant cucumbers, I don't even know how to, but I will do the research and I want to do it now because I'm like a dog with a bone and I won't have peace until I do it. So farming has taught me patience, that you can plant it today, but it takes about, for instance, butternut, it'll take you 3 months, so you have no other choice but to wait. And that has taught me also in life in general that some things are out of our control, and some things you have to wait and they require your patience, right? So I have learned that, and I've also learned to have a backbone and to be a stronger person, because also farming is, as I mentioned, is a male-dominated space. So you need to grow a backbone in order to, you need to actually be a tough cookie, And I laugh about this because my dad always mentions that, oh, by the way, I have 5 brothers, I'm the only girl, so it's also like a weird thing that he assumes I'm also a boy. When I have like a mental breakdown, he's just like, it's like, excuse me, I'm a female. It's things like that have shaped me, that there is this, and I am capable, and God put me on this field for a purpose. So that's how it has shaped me. I'm a better person, I'm stronger, and I'm more patient. And I also look at the beauty of life, that from putting a small seed into nothing comes out something so nutritious. So I'm actually contributing towards food security and feeding the nation. So luckily for me, it's been a family business. So we have 2 farms. One is in Mpumalanga, that's where my father is from, and where my late grandfather used to farm, and he was mostly a livestock and a grain farmer. Then we acquired our first farm here in Joburg in Nigel, but the farm was too small for the number of livestock and the activities that we wanted to do. So we had to look for another farm, and luckily we found one close to Nigel, which is in Heidelberg in Gauteng. About 45 minutes from here, from Joburg, Central. And we acquired it through the land reform, and they gave us a huge farm, which is 1,064 hectares, and we are leasing the farm for 30 years, and we're in the process of purchasing it. And what we liked about the farm there is that it allowed us to actually continue with our grains. It was enough grazing land, and it also had blue gum trees. Blue gum trees are also good for if you want to go into the honey business. Hence I'm pursuing that career also, because the blue gum trees, you can produce eucalyptus honey, which is one of the most amazing raw quality sources of honey. It's actually one of the top honeys. So that's another thing that we liked. And blue gum trees, with the felt fires, we use them because they are not easily inflammable. So trying to stop that fire, you can use those. So there's a lot that we found on our farm, and those trees also, we also in the firewood business, because we have a lot of those trees that are required for the firewood. So we like that. We are basically, always say that it was a blessing in disguise having those issues at our first farm, and now we are here because we are literally sitting on a gold mine. And the capital, my father and I basically have not received any form of funding from any government or any other business models. We've funded it from our own pockets, and that's another thing that I always tell farmers, that if you have another source of income and you want to go into farming, go for it. Like, farming means that it's expensive and everything needs money. Like, literally me just parking on the farm, 2 minutes before even getting out, there's already like something that they need on the farm. So having that extra income will actually, if while you wait, and I always say to people that let the government find you on the way, don't rely entirely on them for the funding. So we've always had side other hustles to feed into the farming business until it can fully operate, because we have big dreams with it. And I mean, we also supply the renowned current beef. Is down the road from our farm. We supply him with weaner calves because we are in the beef production industry. So that helps us a lot, you know. And with the butternuts, we supply some of your biggest retailers, like an agro-processing company that supplies Checkers, and another company that supplies your boxes. So we would send out 600 bags of 7 kg bags per week, or twice a week actually. So we mastered that. We wanted to ensure that the farm had an income also the whole year round, instead of just looking at the income, looking at the seasonal things. I always say start with what you have, because I mean, some things are out of your control. I mean, I don't have water, but it didn't stop me from planting butternuts. And it actually worked to my advantage, and I basically planted that butternut, and I used the cow manure from our kraal, which is an organic fertilizer, while I waited for the results, because I tested the soil. And cow manure is also helps to neutralize the soil, because it's always been acidic from the maize that we've always planted on our land. So that's another point. Invest in quality mentorship. Like, you look for a quality bull because you want the certain traits and the certain genes, and you have an end goal. Invest in that quality mentorship, because then at least your goals are aligned and you're not forced into the mentor's dreams, but they're aligned with yours. As well as doing your research. As I mentioned prior also, is that research, you avoid making expensive mistakes, and you will master the seasons and the breeding seasons, and that way you can get your profits and you're not working at a loss. So I have two, one being my father and the other one being Dade Duncan Serapelwane. He's the legendary Bonsmara stud breeder, and the reason why I went for him is because Bonsmaras are one of the breeds that we are also looking into branching to, because it's an indigenous breed and they are actually adaptable, looking at the environment, the climate change that is actually happening. And he's a stud breeder, and I'm also working towards becoming a stud breeder. And actually he's actually also had his first production auction as a black person. That's huge. So I follow his footsteps, and our goals are aligned, and he actually accepted me with open arms, and he's become my second father, and just his journey is inspiring. So that is why I have those two people that I look up to, because my father started from nothing to that farm, from nothing to where it is today. And he actually recently also received the Lifetime Achievement Award, and I was so glad that he received his flowers while he's still alive. And he's actually done so much. I mean, with COVID, we were fortunate enough not to even have to retrench anybody with any of our staff. So he's always been that selfless. And we've also opened our farm because of him to students who are doing their third year, who need to do integrated learning in order to graduate. So that again is funded from our own pockets, and we accommodate these female students because we wanted to create a safe space for them and to be able to also fulfill their dream of becoming a farmer and having a female mentor, as well as my father who's gone through this journey before. So that for me says a lot, and I just look at how he just runs the operation, and hence I've taken over the farm, and I still go to him for his guidance. So those are the two people that I look up to, and on my sound boards. Take it easy. It's hard, but it's also fulfilling, and it's the most peaceful thing actually. And I'd also say that don't put too much pressure on yourself. There's a time and place for everything, and there's a reason why you're at a certain place. So enjoy the moment, and all the other things will fall into place. I think sometimes we put so much pressure, and also pressure from social media and your peers, that put you on a certain scale or bar that you end up losing yourself. So stay grounded and focus on your operation and your goals and dreams. Well, I think I have two actually. One is usually when the lambs and kids are born, and we usually not really separate them from their moms, but when we allow the moms to also go and graze and have their food, so the little lambs and kids sometimes cannot tell that you're not the mother, so they end up following you and start sickling on your clothes. And I find that it's actually the cutest thing that they do. I mean, one of my shoelaces here, guys, has been chowed by them. That's why it looks a bit weird. And another one was actually while we were drawing blood from one of the cows, and we couldn't get the blood from the tail. I had to get it from on its lower abdomen, and that's when I realized that cows don't kick backwards, they actually kick sideways. So I was actually kicked by a cow, and I couldn't. And for me, it was more of, instead of the focusing on the pain, it was more of, hey, look, auntie, they kick sideways, not backwards. Okay. Definitely a cow. As a Hlupi, they are easy pets and easy animals, actually. If I were to have it any day, and I mean, they always say that I'm very biased, and I prefer cows more than the others. Low key, yes, because I mean, cows, as long as you look after them, they'll look after you too. And they eat in the morning, they go and graze, they come back, they mind their own business, like as Hlupi, unless you disturb them. An ostrich. I'm very short, so I've always wanted to be tall, and I like how tall it is. And I like ostrich meat, and I always find people who actually farm with ostriches, because they are ostrich farmers, find them, I used to think they were odd, but I mean, it's animals that I would like to explore one day. And as for a flower, I would look at a sunflower, because one, the scale of a sunflower, looking at the tonnage, is very high, and I like to put myself on a high pedestal. And I like flowers, and they're beautiful to look at. And I mean, a sunflower, you can use it as a flower to make someone's day, and you can also make oil. And I mean, we all know how expensive oil is. So it's a plant that gives back to you in many ways, and has high returns. Maybe the ear piercing tool, because one, you get to put your brand. This animal, this beautiful big animal and small animal, gets to walk around with your brand. And it's like, you know, even with us, when I wear a t-shirt that has our brand, I wear it with my chest out and proudly. So imagine like when someone sees how beautiful and full and big your livestock is, and it has your brand on it. It also brings you pride, and it motivates you. So that is my favorite, because then once you've bought it, you tag it, it's now yours, and everyone compliments it. And I mean, it's a proud moment. That we can actually do it. And I mean, the average age for an average farmer is about 60 or 65. So looking at me, I mean, I'm 27, but I already run an enterprise of this size and on such a large piece of land. Hence, I always make it known my age, so that people can understand that it is possible. And as a female farmer, you can do it, and you can actually be taken seriously. And I mean, you have older people coming to you who have been farming for years and asking for advice on their livestock or the crops. So, and I sit and I'm just like, clearly there's something that I'm doing right, and clearly I'm not talking nonsense. So you can do it. As I mentioned, start with what you have, honestly, and do your research, and you're good to go.